There. Well, we're joined now from Norfolk Police Headquarters by Detective Superintendent Paul Sanford, who's from the National Child Protection Working Group. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Are the police getting it right now in the way they handle it, or is there still a problem where concerned parents, perhaps the child themselves, is going to the police and not getting treated properly?
I think policing has done a huge amount in recent years, despite significant challenges, to improve our response to all forms of child abuse, not just child sexual exploitation. Child sexual abuse has been hidden in our society for too long, and certainly in recent months that picture has changed. The police is certainly now committed to doing all we can to root out child sexual exploitation and prevent more people, more children, from becoming victims. It's an abhorrent crime. There's absolutely no doubt about that. We are learning lessons. We have learned significant lessons from the past, but we are absolutely committed to improving the police response to these sorts of awful acts.
Are you surprised by what you've learnt about the scale of it?
Well, the last 12 months have been shocking in terms of the scale. What we know is that the Office of the Children's Commissioner have estimated that there are some 16,000 children at risk of CSE across the country. And that CSE takes place in all communities. You know, there's been a model which has been most frequently reported in the media over the last 12 months, linked to cases such as Rotherham and Rochdale. But let's be clear, it takes place in all communities, urban, rural, small and large. I don't think there'll be a community in the country that could not potentially be affected by CSE. So every police
and we should
officer,
be clear, this is CSE, child sexual exploitation.
It is, and to be clear on that point, CSE is just one part of, is one subset of child abuse. Child abuse takes many forms, and most of it takes place in the home. 95% of child abuse, we believe, takes place in the family environment, which is really shocking when you think about the added complexities of the trust and the family relationship that's being betrayed by that abuse taking place.
Now, you talk about what we've learnt over the last 12 months. Do you think the next year is going to be difficult too?
Well, we are facing unprecedented demand within policing. We know that across most forces, reports of abuse are going up by 17% year on year. That abuse is made up of a number of things. Most recently, we've seen increases in reports of historic sexual abuse within institutions, and also by well-known personalities and by groups and gangs. There's nothing that's caused me to believe that that situation is going to change, and that we're not going to see a continuation of the level of reporting. But what is good, and what positives I do take, is I think that's a clear indication that victims are now having the confidence to come forward. They are believing that they're going to be treated seriously. And I know from the frontline investigators that I work with that we will do everything we can to put the appropriate support around a victim. And I wouldn't want anything that's happened in the last 12 years to deter a victim from coming forward. Because, believe me, if they do, we will put all the support necessary around them to best support them.
Can I ask how it affects you on a personal level? Because some of the stuff that you must have seen and heard about would put many people off doing that job.
Yes, it does. For the investigators of this sort of crime, sometimes you go home and at the end of the day, and the world seems quite a dark place, to be honest. You're witness to some awful crimes, particularly when you have to view images online or look at accounts of abuse. And you have to give support to children in the most horrible, horrific circumstances. But all of that is put to one side when you get the real benefits, the real satisfaction from safeguarding the child, making a huge difference in their lives, stopping the abuse, and also bringing offenders to justice for these awful crimes. So it is a tough role, it's a tough job, but we've got a job to do, and we'll keep doing it to best support those victims.
And what do you think the best way of getting on top of current as well as historic is for there to be a sort of, for every local authority, basically to have a new investigation into historic abuse?
Well, they should be investigating it anyway. You know, every local authority, every policing area should be asking themselves one fundamental question, and that is, have we got in place locally the appropriate response to the threat of child sexual exploitation and all forms of child abuse? Have they got in place a coherent plan? Is it important? Do frontline staff get it? And if the answers to any of those questions are no, then they need to look again, and we need to work harder and further improve our response.
Detective Superintendent Paul Sanford, thank you very much.
Thank you.